In three earlier posts on this channel entitled A Look at Love, Real Love is No Joke, and the Essential Unity of This, That, They, and Us, I shared a wide range of perspectives on love and unity, which I had gathered over many years, along with several others on the topic of faith. And so now the time has come for me to offer what I hope will be an inclusive, concise, and inspiring post on faith. From ancient times and in every culture of the world, myths, narratives, poetry, art, and music have described and discussed the power of faith in countless ways and scenarios. In fact, after the theme of love, I'm pretty sure that the subject of faith would very likely come up next, or very soon. For when you think about it, faith and love go very well together. And although faith can be slippery, elusive, and riddled with fear, doubt, and insecurities, as it matures, it can become extremely powerful and provide a sort of magnetic effect that may not be measurable, as is the case with a variety of unquantified quantum effects. And yet such effects can definitely be observed and deeply experienced. And similar to the ways in which good herbs and good fruits and vegetables provide the much needed nutrition for good holistic health when correctly and carefully cultivated, faith too holds that same potential for us, and so much more. To validate this point, at least for myself, I merely have to recall the buoyancy of enslaved and colonized people the world over, and the resilience of persecuted and scapegoated good people throughout history, who persevered and persevered because of the wisdom, the discipline, and the practical determination that their faith inspired. Sometimes some people speak dismissive words about faith and avoid looking at its deeper meaning and the value it holds for helping us out and keeping us afloat during times of stress, doubt, and insecurity. And yet, oddly enough, trust, conviction, self-assurance, and self-confidence, which are all synonyms for faith, are universally accepted as principal strengths of character that motivate us to face adversity, to reach, and persist. As for me, I may not know what faith is, but I have never been disappointed by what she has done and how much more I already know she will do for me. Faith is among the best friends I can have on this unpredictable and sometimes treacherous voyage across the river of life. Now, having said all this, let's move on to a selection of insightful and evocative perspectives on this critical matter of faith from a wide range of good and great people, some of whom will be called out, and all of whom will be listed at the end. I'll begin with words from Christian theologian, Dr. E. Stanley Jones. I am inwardly fashioned for faith, not for fear. Fear is not my native land. Faith is. I live better by faith and confidence than by fear, doubt, and anxiety. In anxiety and worry, my being is grasping for breath. These are not my native air. But in faith and confidence, I breathe freely. These are my native air. We do not know why it is that worriers die sooner than the non-worriers. But this is a fact. We are inwardly constructed in nerve and in tissue, brain cell and soul, for faith and not for fear. To live by worry is really to live against reality. Khalil Gibran. Faith is a knowledge within the heart, beyond the reach of proof. Faith is not simply a patience that passively suffers until the storm is past. Rather, it is a spirit that bears things, with resignations, yes, but above all, with blazing and serene hope. Alan Watts. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water, because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. Here's two on faith and science. The first is by Max Planck, that preeminent Nobel laureate in physics. And the second is by André Amiel, a Swiss philosopher and poet. Anyone who has been seriously engaged in scientific work of any kind realizes that over the entrance to the gates of the temple of science are written the words, "Ye must have faith." Society lives by faith and develops by science. Lauren Kate. Sometimes beautiful things come into our lives out of nowhere. We can't always understand them, but we have to trust in them. I know you want to question everything, but sometimes it pays to just have a little faith. Reason is our soul's left hand. Faith is her right. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The faith that stands on anyone else's authority is not faith. On a long journey of life, faith is the best of companions. It is the best refreshment on the journey, and it is the greatest property. Faith is an oasis in the heart, which will never be reached by the caravan of thinking. Your faith can move mountains, and your doubt can create them. Doubt is a virus that attacks faith. Doubt your faiths, doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. Sonia Riccati. Surrender to what is. Let go of what was. Have faith in what will be. Every tomorrow has two handles. We can take hold of it with the handle of anxiety or with the handle of faith. William Wordsworth. Faith is a passionate intuition. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Take up the arms of faith against a sea of trouble, and your opposition shall yet end your distresses. There is one who careth for you. His eye is fixed on you. His heart beats with pity for your woe. And his hand, omnipotent, shall yet bring you the needed help. The darkest cloud shall scatter itself in showers of mercy. Mahatma Gandhi. You must not lose faith in humanity. Humanity is like an ocean. If a few drops of the ocean are dirty, the ocean does not become dirty. Mary McLeod Bethune. Faith is the first factor in a life devoted to service. Without it, nothing is possible. With it, nothing is impossible. If one has faith, one has everything. Anne Lamott. My coming to faith did not start with a leap, but rather a series of staggers from what seemed like one safe place to another. Like lily pads, round and green, these places summoned and then held me up while I grew. Each prepared me for the next leaf on which I would land. And in this way, I moved across the swamp of doubt and fear. Satya Sai Baba. Listen with faith. Reflect with discrimination. Meditate with one-pointed devotion. Then the truth will be revealed and doubts will disappear. For we walk by faith, not by sight. To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. When the faith is strong enough, it is sufficient just to be. It's a journey towards simplicity, towards quietness, towards a kind of joy that is not in time. It's a journey that has taken us from primary identification with our body and our psyche on to an identification with God, and ultimately beyond all identification. None of us knows what might happen even the next minute, yet still we go forward because we trust, because we have faith. See the best, forgive the worst, forget the bad. Always have faith. Faith is trust in ultimate meaning. Now, this final one is pretty heavy and goes straight to the highest teachings of all. And yet, when we remember that omnipresent consciousness or spirit is the unseen basis of everything, everywhere, all the time, then no problem. For we are not, have not, and will never be separate from what we call God. It is our faulty self-perception that leads us to identify with our bodies and our minds and not with our souls. It is our faulty analysis and our overthinking that sends our minds, our senses, and our behaviors in all kinds of unfruitful and off-road directions. That's why all the great preceptors of all faiths and cultures urge us to sharpen our discrimination, to curb our minds, and learn how to tap that spring of eternal truth and wisdom that lies within us. Okay, now here's that final quote by Satya Sai Baba. Your true and ultimate self is God. You have faith in your judgment, your intelligence, your ability, because God within you tells you not to falter or fear. That assurance wells from within you, from your basic truth, which is otherwise called God. It does not matter if you do not call it God. It is enough if you believe in your true self. That is the real test of theism. Here now are the authors of all these quotes that I've shared with you.